Surprising facts about Gal Gadot.
Here are things you might not have known about Gal Gadot.
Gal Gadot was almost a lawyer.
I was studying law.
Before Hollywood came calling, Gal Gadot was mapping out a future that had nothing to do with Lycra, invisible jets, or red carpet premieres. Growing up in the sleepy Israeli suburb of Rosh Ha'ayin, she told friends she planned to study law and become a criminal defense attorney, following in the sensible footsteps of her engineer father and PE teacher mother. Law school brochures were literally on her desk when, at 18, an acquaintance dared her to enter the 2004 Miss Israel pageant.
מועמדת מספר 16.
Gal laughed it off but submitted the forms anyway, mostly for the free trip to Ecuador promised to contestants. She won the crown, hated the tiara, and figured that was her one fluke brush with glitter. But the International Miss Universe competition in Quito dropped her into a global spotlight and into the modeling circuit that soon paid more than any courtroom internship. Casting agents began whispering about this statuesque brunette who moved like a ballerina but saluted like a soldier. Law school? Goodbye briefs? Hello callbacks. Gal Gadot was in the Israeli IDF. Israel's mandatory military service scoops up most 18-year-olds for desk duty or radio rooms. Gal got posted to the IDF's Combat Fitness Instructor Brigade, which meant 5 a.m. runs, assembling items, and teaching burly recruits Krav Maga. Boot camp is where I figured out I could push past my limits, she said, knowledge that would later power through grueling stunts on the Wonder Woman set. That resume caught a certain 007 director's eye. When casting Quantum of Solace, Gal's authentic military vibe helped her snag her first screen test. She lost the role of Camille to Olga Kurylenko, but impressed the casting team enough that, 5 years later, Warner Brothers called her back, this time asking if she'd fancy crossing swords with Batman and Superman. She was 5 months pregnant while reshooting Wonder Woman. Fans rave about the No Man's Land sequence in Patty Jenkins' 2017 blockbuster, where Diana storms a WW1 trench under enemy action. Few realize those slow-mo shots were reshoots filmed deep into post-production. And Gadot was visibly expecting her second daughter, Maya. Costume designers sliced a triangle out of her armored bodice, covered the gap with a bright green fabric panel, and let VFX artists erase the bump in post. Gal joked that she looked like Wonder Woman wearing a green screen baby belly. Between takes, she wolfed down peanut butter sandwiches and managed pregnancy back pain, all while delivering the scene that cemented her icon status. She literally birthed a superhero franchise and a child, almost simultaneously. She once owned a luxury hotel with husband Jaron Varsano. Long before Beverly Hills power lunches, Gal and real estate mogul Jaron Varsano ran the Varsano Hotel, a chic 11-suite boutique in Tel Aviv. Guests included tech founders, fashion editors, and more than a few movie producers passing through the Mediterranean hotspot. Over espresso in the lobby, Gal would eavesdrop on conversations about everything from Cold War politics to luxury brand marketing. Years later, when Patty Jenkins asked her what decade Wonder Woman should time jump to for the sequel, Gal pitched 1980s excess, recalling startup CEOs bragging in her hotel about Reaganomics and opulent consumption. The Varsano sold to Russian oligarch Roman Abramovich for $26 million in 2015, but Gal credits those lobby chats for giving her a real-world compass on greed and glamour, themes that pulse through WW84. She secretly auditioned for Disney's live-action Snow White while filming Red Notice. Dwayne Johnson thought Gal's off-camera laughter on Netflix's Red Notice set was simply method relaxation. In truth, between jewel heist scenes, she was dialing into clandestine Zoom callbacks to win the role of Queen Grimhilda for Disney's live-action Snow White. The studio asked contenders to deliver the classic poisoned apple monologue. Gadot slipped the audition pages into her Red Notice script binder and practiced with Ryan Reynolds during lunch breaks. Reynolds spilled to press later that she'd end takes with an eerily delightful cackle. Producers loved it, and the part was hers. fans will soon watch America's on-screen sweetheart twist into a delicious villainess, proving she can swap golden lassos for black magic mirrors without missing a beat. At 38, Gal Gadot packs lawyer dreams, military grit, entrepreneurial savvy, pregnancy-proof stunt work, and secret auditions into one headline magnet life. She may radiate Greek goddess poise on camera, but the backstories, late-night IDF drills, pageant protests, green screen maternity armor, remind us Hollywood's coolest Amazon is still, at heart, the curious law student who once entered Miss Israel just for a free vacation. Her Fast and Furious audition was a fluke. A local model pal of Gal Gadot's barely spoke English and begged her to come as a translator. Gal obliged, heels and dictionary in hand. When casting director Rona Kress spotted Gadot's 5'10" frame and IDF posture, she politely asked the translator to read opposite Diesel. Gal improvised in rusty English, cracked a joke about Israeli traffic being worse than a street race, and headed for the door, certain she'd blown it. Days later, she got the call. The friend was out, and she'd landed Giselle Yashar. Producers then discovered her real-life weapons training and rewrote the part to feature rifle handling and motorcycle stunts. That accidental audition became her springboard to Hollywood and introduced her to husband-to-be Jaron Varsano, whom she met at a desert yoga retreat while on a break from filming in the US. All because she agreed to play translator for a nervous model. She walked away from a high-speed motorcycle crash with a broken collarbone. Between Fast 5 and Batman v Superman, Gal scratched her adrenaline itch by cruising Israel's coastal highways on a 600cc Ducati Monster. One Twilight ride in 2011 turned ugly when a distracted driver swerved across lanes. Gadot laid the bike down, slid 60 feet, and fractured her collarbone. Paparazzi pics show her jacket shredded at the shoulder, but miraculously, no major road rash. Here's the Hollywood tough twist. She had a Vogue Israel cover shoot booked 2 days later and refused to cancel. Stylists stitched hidden padding into a custom Saint Laurent blazer so she could cradle the arm without a sling. The editor later confessed the magazine airbrushed faint bruises from her décolletage. But the steely stare on that cover? Real. When Warner Brothers assessed stunt readiness for Wonder Woman, she joked that Paradise Island's Amazons couldn't possibly toss her into anything scarier than a Tel Aviv highway at dusk. She helped poach Patty Jenkins for Wonder Woman via secret espresso dates in Burbank. Initially, the standalone Wonder Woman film was assigned to director Michelle McLaren. 6 months into pre-production, creative clashes with the studio stalled momentum. Gal, already training 6 hours a day with swordmaster Richie Coster, sensed disaster and quietly set up coffee meetings with Patty Jenkins, who'd nearly directed Thor: The Dark World, but walked over creative differences. Over lattes at a Burbank bakery, Gal pitched Jenkins her vision: a hero fueled by empathy, not vengeance, and fight scenes that felt like ballet with axes. Jenkins sketched storyboards on napkins. Weeks later, McLaren exited. Jenkins signed on within 48 hours. Insiders say Gadot's informal lobbying sealed the deal. When WW smashed the box office with $822 million global, studio brass credited Jenkins. But crew members whispered the real midwife was the Israeli star who refused to watch her dream project derail. She waged a quiet salary discussion, then used the raise to launch a female-led production company. After Batman v Superman, Gal's initial Wonder Woman paycheck reportedly sat around $300,000, standard for first outing superheroes, but minuscule next to Henry Cavill's rumored $14 million for Man of Steel. Trade. Press outrage erupted. Behind the scenes, Gadot's agents at WME leveraged public pressure and the film's gargantuan presales to renegotiate. Sources peg her sequel salary at $10 million plus backend. Instead of upgrading jewelry, she and Varsano seeded Pilot Wave, a shingle devoted to stories where complicated women take the wheel. Their first project, spy thriller Heart of Stone, landed at Netflix for a mid-8-figure deal. Next up is a Hedy Lamarr limited series starring Gadot as the 1940s screen siren inventor. Quietly, Pilot Wave finances scholarships for Israeli girls in STEM, a cheeky nod to Lamar's radio frequency patents and Diana Prince's day job as a curator at the Louvre. She drew backlash for an Imagine video. Lockdown week 2. Gal, bored in her LA compound, FaceTimed celebrity pals, Natalie Portman, Jimmy Fallon, etc., and stitched together that now infamous Instagram compilation of stars singing John Lennon's Imagine. The internet roasted it as tone-deaf. PR disaster? Totally. Yet behind the memes, Gadot phoned WHO officials about urgent shortfalls in protective gear. 3 days after deleting the video, she funneled $1 million, part of her fresh WW84 bonus, to direct relief for N95 masks in Brazil and India. Her team asked suppliers to ship without press releases, but hospital staff leaked photos of boxes labeled "From Wonder Woman." Gadot later told Vanity Fair the sing-along was in poor taste, acknowledging the privilege gap. The donation didn't erase the gaffe, but demonstrated a swift pivot from cringe to concrete aid. What do you guys think of Gal Gadot? Let me know in the comments, and I hope you have a great day.